Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, I got to visit a relative for a couple of weeks, and because of that, I had access to Disney Plus, and I watched so many things. Actually, the only reason you're not getting like even more videos talking about the stuff that I watched is because I ended up starting a Letterboxd a while ago, so I've kind of been putting keeping track of the things I watch and some of my thoughts more in there, so that way I don't have to feel like I have to make a video on every single thing that I watch. But there's two movies that I watched. One of them, this one that I watched for the first time, and another one I rewatched, Inside Out 2, that I want to make videos on just because my thoughts have changed a bit for Inside Out, so I want to Inside Out 2, so I want to talk about that. But with 10 Things I Hate About You, I loved it so much, I was like, okay, I feel like I need to talk about it, and I still have my notes, because I took notes, and my notes are more so just kind of my thoughts as I was watching, or things that I found funny, because this is a movie, I knew existed, I didn't really know the plot of it, and it was one of those of if I get to watch it at some point, cool. But yeah, I wish I got to watch this sooner, because this was it's so good, honestly. And there's so many funny characters in this too. One of the first characters that you get to see in the movie is there's this guidance counselor, and she's just writing smut on the school computer in between talking to students. Even though this movie's from 1999, I was thinking if only this lady had an AO3 account or something. And you get to see this character multiple times through the movie, and it even gets to the point where she asks her adult coworkers for synonyms for her fanfic. But that was one of the first things in the movie I was, and then towards the start too, I mentioned, where I was oh, okay, I thought it was just gonna be the students that might be a little wacky. No. Or there's this I think he's an English teacher, yeah. Let me see if I have a note on the English teacher. There's this English teacher, because the class has to talk about poetry and stuff, and he just wait, hold on, let me find the note. I watched so many movies, I want to make sure I'm not thinking of another movie. Oh, okay, I found my note. There's a teacher that I think an English teacher that does not take shit from anyone. I wrote down some of his quotes. He tells one of the students of, someday you're gonna get bitch slapped and I'm not gonna do a thing about it. And then to one of the main character really, Kat, he tells her at one point, because she's the student that just has an opinion on everything and such, and he just tells her at one point, and it's one of the only times in the movie she isn't in that class trying to start anything or whatever. She's genuinely interested in what they're doing, and he tells her go to the office, you're pissing me off. And yeah, it almost made me wish that we could see more of the faculty in this movie, if they're all just this funny. But that was a surprise to me. I don't know, I mean, I know in a lot of teen high school movies from the 80s and 90s, sometimes the school staff, they're kind of as eccentric as the students or whatever. It kind of depends. But just the way it was for some of these people in this movie, it just kind of took me by surprise. It was really funny. I also don't remember if this is rated either. I mean, I know, again, with these kind of movies, there's also cursing and stuff too, but the cursing is almost immediately as well. Oh yeah, I should probably mention what this is about if you've ever seen this. So there's this girl named Kat, and she has this sister named Bianca who's really pretty and really popular, and everyone wants to date her, and she wants to date people, but their dad is super strict. It's because he's worried about teen pregnancy, which I feel he gets to a point where it's almost a little too paranoid about it. But he does, I don't remember what his job is, but he gets to see the effects of that stuff, so I understand why he is the way he is, and teen pregnancy is a real concern and stuff, but he makes it so Bianca can't date unless Kat dates, and there's this guy, I know he's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't remember what the character's name is, because let me tell you, I watched this probably like 2 weeks ago, so I'm only able to go off like my memory and my notes here. I mean, I could look on Wikipedia, but I kind of want to just get this done. There's this guy that has a crush on Bianca and wants to date her, and there's like these bets and things going on at the school of like this popular guy that is kind of a loser who wants to date Bianca, and it's like this whole thing of they basically get this guy, Heath Ledger's character Patrick, who's like the only person who would like ever date Kat. They like pay him to date her, but it's one of those things where it's like he falls in love with her like for real and stuff, because like they do get to know each other, and their relationship does end up being nice like later in the movie, and it's, you know, like the main emotional part of the movie really. But yeah, that's like pretty much what it's about, and like various things happen in this school. Let me get back into my notes. Hearing Heath Ledger say to somebody, you know, his character of like, "Are you telling me I'm not a pretty guy?" was like kind of wild. Like, he's very pretty in this movie. There's this, because there's like, besides Kat and Patrick's relationship, there's like all of these other people that are becoming couples as well. Like there's this kind of nerdy guy who's not really like one of the main characters, and he falls for this like this girl that is obsessed with Shakespeare to the point where she keeps a picture of him, Shakespeare, not the nerdy guy, in her locker, not locket, and says that they're involved. And then it's kind of nice. You don't see too much of those two, but like at the end of the movie, he ends up getting her this dress that's kind of more like medieval looking, like matches like the time frame, you know, Shakespeare being alive, and they go to like prom together and stuff. I thought that was kind of nice. Oh yeah, the popular guy, I forgot his name is Joey. He was annoying. He's in a lot of the movie. He ends up like trying to date Bianca, and I'm really glad she realizes like super early on that she actually doesn't like him, because he's like really lame and self-absorbed, and she ends up going with like a little bit of a nicer guy. That's the thing, it's like a lot of the guys in this movie feel kind of manipulative in one way or another, of just like wanting to date these girls. I feel like Patrick is like one of the only guys in this movie of like the high school students that like actually seems to be a decent person. I mean, he's not completely innocent either. I mean, he agreed to be paid to date someone, you know, but I mean, and Kat does end up finding out, and things happen with that, but he does end up falling in love with her, and even like from the beginning he does seem to at least somewhat care about her. Like there's a part where she gets like really drunk at a party, and I thought it was nice. He's like, he actually kind of looks after her when she gets drunk. She ends up like wanting to kiss him, and he doesn't go through with that because he knows it's not right. And then he's trying to also help like other characters try to get with people and give them advice and stuff. Oh yeah, one of the coolest parts of the movie, Patrick ends up singing the song "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You," and it's this part where he's in front of like the school football field and has like a microphone and is not doing like a dance routine, but like going around sliding on things and taking all these really huge steps and stuff on these bleachers. That whole sequence was really cool. I didn't know that Heath Ledger could sing anyway. I thought his voice sounded pretty good actually. There's this one part where Kat ends up flashing a teacher. I got like you know, lifting up her shirt. I got surprised by that. I didn't think she'd have it in her to do that. Not that she's doing that, you know, because she wants to. It's just there's a part where Patrick ends up in detention, and she's trying to distract the teacher. It's just, given how her personality is, I wouldn't have ever expected that. That was kind of crazy. Oh, Cameron. That's the name of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. I was trying to remember. I knew it was in my notes somewhere. Yeah, Cameron. Now I want to talk about him a bit more because I finally remember what his name is. He originally tries to be like Bianca's French tutor or something, and Cameron's the one that is like manipulating Joey to pay Patrick to like date Kat, and Bianca, at first isn't interested in Cameron, but then they end up getting together, and it's kind of nice by the end because he originally is telling her like, hey, maybe I can like take you sailing sometime, and she's not really interested in the sailing or him actually, and then at the party she realizes she does actually like Cameron and ends up like kissing him. And then it's nice that towards the end of the movie they do go on a date and they're gonna like go sailing, and they do like actually care about each other. So I like that there's like multiple couples you're following along throughout this. Something that is kind of like a reveal in this movie, because you hear early on that Kat like had sort of been like at least somewhat popular at some point and then kind of faded into obscurity, I guess. You get this reveal like towards the end of the movie that Joey had went out with Kat, and he ended up dumping her, I think because like she didn't want to have sex with him or something like that, or drinking or something she didn't want to do with him. And this is like already after you find out like he's kind of a loser. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Not just of like, oh, she dated a popular guy or whatever, because, no one views Kat as popular. She's kind of like the person no one wants to interact with at this school. But also, I thought like Joey's kind of a loser. Why would she want to go out with him? But you get that reveal like later on. But I like Kat and Patrick in that they're both people that like everyone kind of has wrong ideas about. Like everyone kind of thinks like Kat's like a bit of a bitch and no one wants to like talk to her or anything, and she comes off as like kind of unapproachable. And then with Patrick, it's that people think he spent a year in jail, and there's all of these like crazy rumors of all this supposedly wild stuff he did, and then towards the end of the movie that he's talking to Kat and you find out that like none of those rumors were true, and that it's actually the opposite, that he was actually doing some pretty nice things. I think it was like people thought he was arrested and he was like gone for a year or something, but it was just that he was like taking care of his grandfather or something like that. I had a feeling like like you see that he's like a pretty decent person like from the beginning, so I had a feeling that like none of the rumors would probably end up being true, but it was kind of nice you get that confirmation anyway of like it's just people making stuff up because they think he's like kind of a scary guy or whatever, when he's really just seems to be like an introvert. He kind of like keeps to himself, doesn't care what like anybody thinks about him and stuff. I actually really liked him as a character. And then all the characters get to go to prom, and then Joey has this like conversation with Bianca, and he says that he like calls her a bitch because she didn't want to date him or something. I was really glad. It's like so satisfying. She ends up actually punching him in the face, and I think also like hitting him in the dick or whatever, and she even tells him like, yeah, that's not just for me, that's for my sister as well, because Joey hadn't treated Kat well. So that was like super satisfying. And you know what, I normally don't like what's referred to as the liar reveal trope, and I know that like kind of always has to happen in these movies where it's like somebody's hiding something or lying about whatever, and like it is shitty to take money to date someone, and I was hoping it wouldn't happen, but it it does. Things always end up getting revealed, but it felt actually like pretty natural in this. It kind of just happens an accident of someone mentioning about it might have been Joey, I don't remember, about like Patrick taking the money to date Kat. And it's like at that point you have like 10 minutes of the movie left anyway, because I feel like usually this like liar reveal trope happens usually like sooner in a movie, but here it happens like really, really late. That's why I kind of had hope of like maybe it won't happen, but yeah. And then you get this scene. I mean, I hadn't seen this movie before, but just from watching this particular scene, I thought this is, if I had to guess, this would probably be like one of the more well-known scenes where it's called 10 Things I Hate About You. Kat has a poem that's 10 things that she hates about Patrick, and she ends up having to go in front of the class and read out this poem. And it's, you know, she's in the classroom, there's all these other kids, but Patrick's also there, and it's, you know, obviously directed towards him. I think she's even like making eye contact with him or something, and she ends up like crying during her poem. And then they end up, I think it's that he ends up getting her like a guitar or something, and he's just forgiven. But it was still a cool scene. And then there's this rooftop concert during the credits. That was pretty cool. I'm wondering where the heck they filmed this movie, because it seems like it's, you know, like an American school, not like literally the building, but like with the students and the way the school is, it seems like your average like American high school or whatever. But the school looks so fancy because you get to see like the whole outside of it, because there's this like rooftop concert, like I mentioned. It looks like a freaking castle or something. That just, as like kind of a reveal of like, here's the entire building, just felt crazy to me at the end, because I thought this is just gonna be like a normal, like your average school, like design wise from the outside, because that seemed like how it functioned on the inside. And then no, they're in like a castle or whatever. That's like, that really is kind of just how the building looks like. But yeah, the rooftop credits concert thing was cool. And then you also get bloopers in the credits, and I love just seeing like, I do miss bloopers in the credits in movies of, and in this one too, seeing the actors like laugh when they mess up, or trying to mess with each other. You get to see like alternate versions of scenes. I just think that's really fun. It kind of reminds me of one of the other movies I just watched. I don't think I'm going to do a video on it, but I like just... Yeah, one of the movies I just watched was A Bug's Life, which I haven't seen in years. I will say, really good movie. I kind of vaguely remembered it. I hadn't watched it since probably when I was a kid. But that movie also has bloopers, because a lot of the early Pixar ones, like that one or Toy Story, I think maybe also like Monsters Inc. as well, has like a bunch of bloopers in the credits with the main animated characters and stuff. But yeah, I really miss that. That feels more of like a 90s, early 2000s thing. But I think that's kind of a nice thing to have, and especially for a movie like this where there's already like some funny scenes, and the characters doing their stuff. It feels like the kind of movie that would have bloopers in the credits, so yeah, glad it did. But yeah, this was really good. I wish I could have made a video on this like right after I watched it. I actually, because I watched a ton of things, there's one movie I watched where it was just so good, or more like, no, that I personally enjoyed. I feel like I should phrase it more like that. It's one of the Disney Channel original movies of all things, that I made a recording of it at like 1 a.m. after I finished the movie, and my throat was like super dry, but I just needed to get my thoughts out. I'm gonna have to edit that. If the audio is like really crappy, I won't post it, but if it can end up fine, I might end up posting that. But everything else I'm gonna have to just record here, because I want to make a video on it talking about Inside Out 2. I'm gonna record that right now. And then I watched a bunch of Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes, so I want to talk on those as well. That end up might being like one long video or a two-parter, we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.